Start.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Virginia Plastic Pollution Prevention Network monthly meeting. It is finally October and it is still warm outside. Let's see, so my name is Christina. I am the director of the Virginia Plastic Pollution Prevention Network and also the owner of Ecomaniac Company. I'm a retail business that offers alternatives to single-use plastics, hence my interest in this subject. And Katie Register is also here on the call. She's one of our co-founders along with the Virginia Coastal Zone Management Program. And like Katie said, we are going to be recording this call so that we can put it up on the website and everybody that missed it today can watch it at a later time. Also, as you're signing on, please make sure that you enter your name and your affiliation into the chat room so we have a record of everyone that's on the call. So the Virginia Plastic Pollution Prevention Network was started, we are now more than a year old, last year. And we created this network so that people in Virginia that are working on the issue of plastic pollution prevention had a place to kind of network and collaborate and communicate. And we think so far it's been a successful little network and program. Katie, did you have anything you wanted to add before we started with our first speaker?
Just that originally we were limited to just 100 members, but the network is now able to have up to 500 members. So if you know of other people who are interested in preventing plastic pollution in Virginia, please let them know about the network and that they can join for free.
All right, let's see, adding more people. All right, so our first speaker today is Mandy, and she's going to be talking to us about her awesome stores. That's with an S. Mandy, if you want to go ahead and share your screen and give us any kind of intro and
sure. So,
and anyone else who is not speaking, if you all can make sure you're
oh, I just lost you somewhere. Can you still hear me?
I can still hear you. Yep.
Yeah, we can see you and hear you, but we're not seeing your screen.
Okay. It's not doing the, I'm glad we tested it beforehand, but now I'm not seeing it. Let's see.
Should be on the bottom in the middle.
Green, it says share screen.
Yes, I see that, but it won't let me, anyway, it won't show the screen.
Well, shall we go with our other update?
Yeah, go right ahead. We'll see if I can figure this out.
Okay.
I'm sorry,
John Bateman from the Newport News PDC. We were having a conversation, John. If Mandy, just we'll get back to you. Katie, I don't know if you guys can maybe in the chat try to figure that out. But anyway, John, are you on here?
Yeah, I'm here, and it's
okay.
It's the Northern Neck Planning District.
Northern. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. Really, I wanted to kind of paint a little picture for you guys. So it's a Saturday or a Friday, and you go to 7-Eleven and you grab a 6-pack of your favorite alcoholic beverage, and you go to the clerk and you ring it up, and they go to put it in a bag, and you say, no, thank you. I don't need a bag. I can carry it by its conveniently built-in handle. And they say, well, no, we have to place it in a bag. And you say, well, why? And they say, well, it's a state law that we have to put alcoholic beverages in a bag. And I'm sure we've all experienced this effect. And in fact, it's actually not a state law. There is no law on the books in Virginia that requires alcoholic beverages to be placed in a bag. In fact, I struggle to think of why even a law such as that would even exist. That doesn't really make any sense. And I've kind of been dealing with this for the last 2 years. And what I've done in my local area is reach out to where it's happened. I've reached out to the local supermarket chain Food Lion in one instance, talked with the general manager, who's also their ABC manager, And he conceded that he looked into the matter and found that there was no such law. In fact, he had contacted the ABC department's hotline and found that out, and then turned around and told his clerks that that wasn't a law and that they shouldn't be enforcing something that's not a state law. But I've had the opposite effect when contacting some convenience store outlets who just outright refused to look into the matter and said that they were going to continue to require placing beverages in bags. So this is a problem for alcoholic beverage retailers across the state. It's something that perpetuates the use of plastic bags, which in my mind are a pretty nefarious single-use plastic item. When we do our waterway cleanups, a lot of what we find are plastics and plastic bags, especially. Sure, we've all been driving down the road and seen a plastic bag floating around. Every car drives over it, it floats up in the air, and it's likely somebody who purchased an alcoholic beverage that didn't necessarily need the bag and decided to just go ahead and toss it. It seems there's a lack of education, and I think that there's probably a role that Virginia ABC can play through its ABC management and licensure to ensure that alcoholic beverage retailers aren't enforcing laws that don't exist in the state. That's all I really have on the matter, and I just wanted to kind of open it up for discussion. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks,
Thank
John.
you. Do you think that what would you guess is the next step? Going higher or educational campaign for the employees?
Well, I think I had reached out to you at one point, Katie, and I had the same problem at a local ABC store as well. They had cited that same law, but now when I go to the ABC store, they no longer require a bag. In fact, they ask you if you want one, and I think that was a good policy change that Virginia ABC instituted in its own retail stores and should continue to do so. But yeah, I think the next step would be Virginia ABC, who enforces alcoholic beverage control laws in the state, to maybe when it's renewing licenses or certifying ABC managers, make sure that's part of the education, and make sure that alcoholic beverage retailers in the state are enforcing the appropriate laws and not enforcing laws that aren't on the books. But I think there's a role that this group can play in that educational process too. I mean, simply reaching out to retailers. I think of the big chains, Food Lion, Kroger, Harris Teeter, those supermarket retailers, to make sure that they don't have an internal policy, which some do. Some do have internal policies that have that requirement, and there's really nothing that we can do about that.
Yeah, I actually have also been aware of this issue for several years, and I actually carry an email that I had a conversation that I had with someone from ABC. I carry a copy of it in my purse, so if anyone tries to bag my wine and they say it's the law, I actually break out my piece of paper and say it's not the law. It might be your store policy, but it's not the law. And then they get confused. And I've left bottles of wine on the counter and walked away before, which is difficult on a Friday night. But Robin, did you have a comment? Robin, you're on mute still.
Sorry, I feel like I've seen something before, and I don't know if it related to paper bags, but you see often, people walking around where you can't tell if they're drinking an alcoholic beverage or not, but you're supposed to hide it in the bag so it's not open to the public. And I don't know where I've seen it, but I guess my question was, he kind of answered one about the internal policies, but could your cities or others trump what the ABC laws are? Is there any other governance of it?
to my knowledge, and I'm certainly no expert on the subject matter, but to my knowledge, ABC law is the sole enforcement. The state is the sole enforcer of ABC law. So that would be the state police, not even the local police.
Do
Okay,
we
thank
know
you.
what would prompt people or why there would be an internal policy that requires alcoholic beverages to be bagged? I mean, if you're over 21, you're allowed to have it. So what's the difference?
As someone that grew up in Southwest Virginia, where blue laws were pretty prominent, my best guess is that it's some remnant of blue laws in the state. But the cause really doesn't matter. The good news here is, as with many plastic reduction efforts in the state of Virginia, the General Assembly is not needed here. There's no action that they need to take. We just need to have who enforces ABC law go on an education and outreach campaign through their existing mechanisms.
Gotcha. Thank you.
You could even frame the campaign as alcohol safety education, if you wanted to.
Well, Tom, you wanted to say something?
Well, I mean, it's two different agencies, certainly. But I just wonder, I think, yes, it'd be great for us to have some sort of outreach that clarifies this issue. But, in that same sort of convenience store situation, or even, well, certainly the convenience store piece, but just relative to festivals and events, is this idea of reusing cups, plastic cups as well. So, again, and so that's a whole different thing, but we have gone to, through the process with the health department, that's okay. I mean, it's certainly okay when you go to 7-Eleven to, whatever, to fill up your cup there. And yet, we're fighting like tooth and nail every time we are dealing with, and this is where the ABC part comes in, when you've got a festival or event and they're quoting the ABC and saying, no, that can't happen. You have to use you can't reuse your cup because it's an ABC regulation. And then they try and throw the health department piece in there too. And it's, that just doesn't hold water.
Yeah, we've run into that too, Tom, in some of our localities who have these types of festivals, have specifically purchased cups that are reusable, that people can collect, quote unquote. It's a collectible item. It's a festival on it. And they've done that on purpose to cut down on trash and their litter pickup post-event. And you're right that some of the vendors end up negating that by requiring people to get a new cup.
And John, your question occurs to makes me think too, that with the communities in Virginia that are rolling out bag fees starting January 1st, there's going to be a lot of need for education, not only with consumers, that there's now a 5-cent fee when they go to grocery stores and they want a plastic bag, but also with the vendors so that they don't say the wrong thing. And I know that some of the communities that are enacting these bills have been talking about vendor education, but I wonder if there's a role for like a statewide toolbox that these local municipalities can use. I don't know, any thoughts on that?
Well, I did put a lot of thought into the state of Virginia having an easy portal for ABC managers to access and vendors to access to know what the laws are in the state. And I know Virginia's put a lot of considerable time into making sure alcohol doesn't end up in the hands of minors, and making sure that these vendors and retailers know what the rules are. And this is no different. I mean, listen, we've all been to Aldi or Costco and put our items in boxes that were left over from packing the items on the shelves. And I really like that model. In fact, simply having a retailer ask a customer whether or not they want a bag would go a long way into reducing plastic bag pollution. So yeah, I think it's just a matter of making that more accessible for retailers to know what the rules are.
Is the financial aspect of like charging for the bag an issue? Just the administrative process for that, which is kind of interesting because, you know, I'm not sure exactly which you know, supermarket you know, brands are doing it, but you know, many times you are getting, I know Foodland, I guess, is one of them. You know, they're saying, oh, you have your own bags. How many bags do you have? Okay, you have 4 bags, that's 20 cents off your bill. Is it the same sort of program that's happening there? You know, for the localities that are charging?
You know, and this makes me think that maybe we need to make this a bigger part of our next month's meeting to discuss this. But basically, it's my understanding the 4 or 5 communities that will be enacting a 5-cent fee starting January 1st. Right now, stores are doing whatever they want. You're right. Some stores give a 5-cent rebate, not the Food Lion in my town, but the Food Lion in Richmond does. And of course, you've got Aldi, which has its own set, and there's 2 Wegmans in Richmond that don't provide plastic bags at all. They assume people will be bringing their own, so they've already phased out plastic. So it is very different. I guess what I'm thinking of is the communities that are going to go from December 31st, no fee, single-use plastic bags, to January 1st. You now pay a nickel if you want to get a bag. But yeah, maybe we should put this on the agenda to discuss in more depth what's going to happen on January 1st in Roanoke, Arlington, Fairfax, and Fredericksburg. And Anne, did I miss one of the?
Alexandria.
Alexandria, thank you, yes. And I know Anne with the Chesapeake Bay Foundation has been helping us track this as well on our bag tracking website. So. Any other?
Credit goes to Gabby for that. I just worked on the one in Fredericksburg.
I'm sorry, you're right. Gabby Troutman's been on that often and enlisting other volunteers to help as well. So thank you both.
So I think for the issue with the plastic bags and the ABC laws, and you know, John and I had kind of briefly discussed maybe bringing someone from ABC onto this call, and you know, kind of thought maybe that might be a little overwhelming to hit them with this immediately. So if there is a group of people that maybe want to start an email thread or a forum on the website to create some talking points for ABC and work with them to create an education program, because then basically what these stores are doing is forcing people to pay 5 cents for a bag they don't actually need. And to Robin's point about you're getting a bag, so if you're out in the parking lot drinking, no one's going to see it. That is also illegal. You're not supposed to drink in public at all, unless you're at an ABC sanctioned event, as far as I know. So, you know, is this bag, you know, issue actually creating a way for people to get away with drinking in their cars in their parking lots? Maybe that's one of the talking points that we come up with. But in the essence of time, I'm going to suggest that the conversation continue about this ABC issue, probably in a forum on the website. I can get that started. And you can, if you're interested in that topic, you can actually subscribe to the forum so you get any of the conversation in your email. So Mandy, we'll come back to you. Can you share your screen now? And again, another reminder, if you are on this call and you haven't signed in yet, please sign into the chat room with your name and your affiliation, so we have a record of everyone that's here.
Looks good, Mandy. We can see your screen now.
Oh, good. Thank you guys for being patient with me. So I've been following you guys for years now, or a year. And I own a bulk refill and zero waste store in Stanton, Virginia, now in Charlottesville, Virginia. It's a place where you can bring your own bottles, and we weigh the bottle, then fill it up with whatever soap or detergent you need. Then we weigh it again, and you only pay for the amount of soap or detergent that you bought. And we have so many other things in addition to that. We have facial cleanser, we have shampoo, conditioner, lotions of all sorts. You see in this picture our big blue tanks in the background. Those hold 130 gallons of our free and clear detergents, dish detergent, laundry detergent, window cleaner, multi-purpose cleaner. And then we also have hand soap in the 30-gallon barrels, and then other varieties of dish and detergents and multi-purpose cleaner, all kinds of things. If you don't have a bottle, we have bottles there both for sale and free. And then you also see in the peripheral all kinds of lifestyle goods that you can get at a zero waste store to help cut down on your plastic consumption, and just cut down on waste in general. A lot of the things there are compostable, or glass, silicone, wood, all kinds of responsible products. So that's our store. I just wanted to bring awareness to refill stations. I know there are others around the state. There are others, a lot are out west and in Europe. It seems like they really lead the way for stores like this. But it's really fun to have you guys, you know, who share in our passion to cut down on waste. Is there anything else I should talk about? Is there anything else you want to know?
I'm curious, like, have you seen, because you've been open for about 2 years now, have you seen an increase in interest in the refill? Like, what are some of the issues with refill? Because in a regular like restaurant setting, or like we were talking about, you can go into a 7-Eleven and fill up a cup, but you can't go to a beer tent and fill up a cup. So have you had any actual issues with refill? I don't know, like anything. What's going on with refill? Tell us more about it.
We haven't. Of course, COVID hit us pretty hard in the beginning, but issues so far as filling bottles, is that what you mean? It's pretty straightforward. People save their own bottles, their shampoo bottle or detergent bottle, and bring it in. And of course, they need to be clean and dry. But am I answering your question? Is that?
Yeah, I guess with the COVID, I guess that was kind of what I was getting at. And even before COVID, like you're not selling anything that people would eat. It's all like personal care kind of stuff. Okay. So there's a difference.
Right. And just as a side note, we were so lucky during COVID because so many stores around us had constant battles with people wearing masks or not wearing masks. And we have not, knock on wood, had a single disagreement with a customer about wearing a mask or keeping a distance. And I think it's because if you're willing to shop in a store like ours, then you care about the environment. If you care about the environment, you probably care about the people you're around. So we've gotten off really lucky.
I think I've seen photo of you don't, like, when you order laundry detergent, you don't get a new barrel. Like, you are actually refilling yourself with these containers to eliminate waste on your side of things. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah, thank you. I should have mentioned that to start with. The big blue tanks that you see that hold 130 gallons, they get refilled on site. So those products are made locally here in Virginia, and they get delivered to us and refilled. And then the smaller barrels, the 30-gallon barrels and 5-gallon buckets, most of them we get to send back to the manufacturer, and they refill and send it back to us.
That's great. I had a question, Mandy. I get ads on my Facebook feed for laundry detergent that is sheets, like instead of powder, instead of liquid, they look like paper sheets almost. Do you sell those as well? And do you have a preference for water-based versus powdered laundry detergents?
We do sell the sheets, and they're wildly popular. They work great and they're so efficient. And I feel like they might be the liquid laundry detergent that we get refilled might be our most low waste option. And otherwise, then I think the sheets are, because they come in compostable cardboard. So both really low waste options. And powder, the powder that we carry is super powerful. I use it on my husband's work clothes because it's the strongest that we have. And that comes in 5-gallon buckets that you can use to refill your containers too.
Great, thank you.
Andy, are you part of, I know you.
Tom, you just muted yourself.
Sorry, Mandy, of course, you're in Stanton and Charlottesville. Just wondering if you're part of a network that kind of works together in conjunction with, you know, the companies that you're working with that are willing to pick up and refill and that sort of thing. And then just wondering if part of that network are some of those stores. I mean, I'm aware of, I believe in Harrisonburg, there's kind of like a bulk you know, foods and things available in some of these. I believe the one in Harrisonburg, but I was just wondering if you're connected with these folks.
I am. So there's an unofficial network on Facebook of zero waste business owners. And I've gotten to be friends with the owner in Harrisonburg of Tear. They're great to work with, really friendly. We go in on orders sometimes to save on shipping and to save on packaging when we get things. So those business owners are really great. It's nice working together and sharing ideas. But there's no official network of refill business owners that I'm aware of. If there is, I'd love to be a part of it. But we keep together online or you know, bounce ideas off each other online in kind of an informal way.
I was just thinking that, like, you know, certainly that would be amazing if, you know, not to take this out of the hands of the local products and things that are, you know, being manufactured, but, you know, if you actually got to a point where, you know, the PFGs and things of the world were willing to do some of this type of stuff, that would certainly take it to the next level for us. But and kind of back to what Christina was, you know, getting at before, like, what are the issues? And I think in a small scale shop like this with very well behaved customers who, you know, really are bought in with this, but I just wonder what it would look like, you know, issues wise, if you tried to take this to, you know, to the larger public. But, you know, we can hopefully move that direction.
Right. You know, I do wonder if a lot of chain stores aren't going to take on this model in the future. The only reason I think maybe they wouldn't is because it does take a lot of hand holding with the customer, a lot of talking through and helping fill bottles. It's pretty labor intensive. But I wonder if that's the wave of the future too, if Food Lion isn't going to have refill stations and on down the line.
Hey, Mandy, it's Rick Gallagher. Is there any reason why you have decided or you don't do the bulk food retail?
Well, one reason is there are so many places around us that do bulk food. We have a cheese shop, multiple cheese shops around that offer that. And also, it seemed like a lot for me to take on in the beginning because there's so many rules and regulations and expiration dates. This seemed like a quicker way for me to get into the door and start my business.
Okay, I believe that.
Hey, Mandy, I am wondering if, well, based on a conversation I had with a friend today, and this kind of ties into the plastic bag issue, I was going through our stuff at work and found so many reusable bags. Some of them were like really old, stained and torn, so they had to be tossed, but there's just so many of these bags that we didn't need to keep here. So I was just, you know, like our cleaning lady and stuff like that, like, please take them. But a friend and I got to talking about the idea of kind of a bring one, take one sort of situation with reusable bags, because I think if you're kind of the type of person who has reusable bags, you probably stocked up at some point, and now there are so many. Maybe you have a little bit more than you want to store at your house. And I didn't know if, you know, from the business standpoint, is that something that you could see happening? I think there are some, you know, probably health and safety concerns, especially with COVID, of, you know, being able to like wash these things and make sure they're clean for people. But do you think that's something that stores like yours would be interested in doing?
Oh, I think that's a brilliant idea. I think that's great. I could see doing that. And of course, yeah, taking them home and sanitizing them, washing them. That's a very good idea. I'd like to use it if you don't mind.
By all means, yeah, there's actually a refill store nearby that I was like, okay, on my way home, I have to stop and say hi and probably pick something up and share this idea with the owner. Because I was just like, yeah, that makes so much sense. I have tons of reusable bags at home. Like, I could take a few. There's plenty of people who are into this who'd be like, okay, yeah, this would be great to get rid of some of my older bags that are still in decent condition, but I've just accumulated new ones. So, right, you know, keep that circular instead of linear.
I think that's a great idea. Which also reminds me, we collect plastic bags at our store and they get upcycled through TerraCycle, or Trex rather, to turn into benches for the Boys and Girls Club here in town. And we also work with Pop Plastics. They collect our gallon jugs, which we don't end up with a lot of them because so many people use them to take laundry detergent home in, and that turns into their laundry detergent bottle, especially if they've forgotten one. But Pop Plastics, I think, didn't Scott Tiernan speak with you guys earlier this year? Yeah. He collects any plastic that we have left over and turns it into furniture and chairs, and he's so great to work with.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions for Mandy before we move on? Thank you, Mandy.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys.
So everyone has to make a road trip to Stanton or Charlottesville.
Definitely.
Check out our store for sure. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Mandy. And if you could stop sharing your screen. And are we ready, Christina, for our next speaker?
Yeah, we are ready, but I want to actually, I'm going to make one real quick announcement about the November meeting. This is not set in stone yet, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I won't know for sure until Monday. But we are hoping for a speaker from an organization called Upstream. And what they do is they work with communities, businesses, restaurants to create a refill environment, especially with regards to food, coffee shops, to-go containers, things like that. So our format for next month may be a little bit different, and then that will be our entire meeting. Again, as soon as I have confirmation on that, I'll let you guys know, because what we'll do is open it up to the public. So if you know restaurants that might be interested in creating a refill option for, say, their to-go containers, or, you know, coffee shop for their cups. I think ABC law is still actually allowing to-go drinks. So that was something that we had talked about down here at the beach, was after that disgusting mess that came about after everyone was allowed to grab an alcoholic beverage and walk away with it, the styrofoam containers that were all over the boardwalk. It was crazy. So coming up with solutions on issues like that. So again, I just want to give you guys a heads up. Tom, Griffin, this is something I definitely want to keep you on the loop, because you might be able to invite your Virginia Green restaurants to participate. Anyway, so that'll be next month. I'll send something out next week to confirm that. And Katie, I am done now. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, that would be very exciting if we can get that for next month. So I want to introduce our main speaker for today's meeting, Gabby Neusner with the Trash-Free Waters Program at EPA. She is a ORISE Research Fellow. So you've been there for almost a year now, is that right, Gabby? Well, she'll tell us.
I've been here for about a year and a half.
Year and a half, okay. So she's in that role. She's been supporting many of the projects at Trash-Free Waters, which are designed to increase the volume of trash entering our waterways. Prior to this job, she worked at DAI Global, where she supported U.S. aid-funded environmental projects in Indonesia. And she has a master's of global environmental policy from American University's School of International Service, and she lives in Washington, D.C. So thank you for joining us, Gabby, to talk about some of the resources that the EPA Trash-Free Water Program has for everybody.
Thank you, Katie. Thanks for the opportunity to talk to the Virginia Plastic Pollution Prevention Network. So as Katie said, I'm going to just give a brief overview of the Trash-Free Waters program and then highlight a few past and ongoing Trash-Free Waters resources and projects that hopefully some of you may find useful. The Trash-Free Waters program was created in 2013 to tackle the growing problem of aquatic trash. And underlying the program's approach is the idea that aquatic trash is a complex problem and requires interdisciplinary and collaborative solutions. It's a voluntary, non-statutory program that works through partnerships in locations across the country to reduce trash loadings into waterways. So the three main goals are summed up here. First is source reduction, reducing the amount of trash that Americans produce, and then also preventing littering and other types of accidental leakage of trash into the environment. We're also focused on removal, either through trash capture solutions or other remediation efforts, and then research to improve our understanding of the sources, the causes, and the pathways and impacts of aquatic trash, which hopefully will inform effective solutions. And we do quite a few things to try to achieve these goals, some including facilitating coordination across the many EPA offices that are doing work related to this issue. And it's really a big task, as well as other US government agencies. And we provide some funding and technical assistance to partners across the country to support any kind of Trash-Free Waters project, whether it's source reduction, removal, or outreach and education. And then we also develop or share educational and technical tools and resources to aid in aquatic trash prevention and mitigation efforts. And so I'm going to speak a little bit about those. So we have a few regular outreach activities, and they can kind of be summed up into two main buckets. So first is educate the public about the trash pollution problem and kind of provide general advice to the average citizen on how they can help prevent aquatic trash. And then the other category is intended for people more like you, who are experts and practitioners already working to address the trash pollution problem. And the idea here is to kind of share best practices, facilitate knowledge exchange, and develop kind of tools and resources that can help augment the great work that people are already doing. So just to highlight a few of the things that are available, The Flow is our quarterly newsletter. And so that has kind of full-length articles about various projects and case studies. So yeah, it's geared towards both the general public and people working in this space. And then monthly, we distribute a newsletter called The Rapids, and that's more of a roundup of funding opportunities for Trash-Free Waters related projects, any kind of relevant upcoming events, and relevant news and announcements about national legislation or other important updates. So that is a useful tool, or we hope it's a useful tool, and you can subscribe to that on our website by joining our email list. Oh, and then the other thing I'll mention is our quarterly webinar series. So we try to bring together experts from around the country to speak about specific topics related to trash-free waters. So we've had one about trash capture projects, and we've had another one about various plastic policies in municipalities across the country. And actually, the one that I found maybe the most, or one of the ones that was really interesting was about reuse and refill models. And so we had someone from Upstream Solutions come to speak about their work, as well as someone from Loop, the company that does shipping of brand name products from stores to people's houses and then picks up and cleans the containers. And someone from Don't Waste Durham, which is kind of a more local Durham-based organization. But anyways, because there seems to be a lot of interest in reuse and refill models, I recommend watching the recording of that webinar, which is on our website. And then our upcoming webinar is going to be about outreach campaigns, what makes a successful outreach campaign for trash-free waters. And so we're just in the very early planning stages of that one, but hoping to get some good speakers, and I will, and you can receive the invitations to the webinars by signing up for our email list. All right, so that's it on outreach materials. And now I just want to highlight some of the recent projects that we've been working on. So one that's kind of coming to a close now is the DC curbside disposal pilot project. This project was rolled out in Washington, DC from July 2020 to May 2021. And it was through a partnership between the Trash Free Waters program and the DC government. So the mayor's office of the Clean City, as well as their Department of Public Works and the Department of Energy and Environment. And the primary goal was to encourage behavior changes to reduce unintentional trash leakage associated with curbside municipal trash collection. So the bulk of the main point of the project was to distribute 8,000 stickers to single-family homes in 4 target neighborhoods. And so the sticker has these tips for how to reduce trash leakage on collection day. And so you can see on the slide, it's a sticker that you're supposed to put in your trash bin. And so the tips are to keep your lid closed so that and don't overflow the trash can, bag your trash before putting it in, put the trash outside shortly before pickup, rather than too early. And what made this project unique and also a lot more labor intensive were the efforts to actually quantify the project's impact. Until now, our program had done very little to measure the impacts of any kind of outreach or education campaigns aimed at changing public behavior. So this was kind of novel for us. And luckily we had the support, or we had the DC office of the Clean City taking leadership in this, and they did data collection measuring a few indicators 11 weeks leading up to distributing the stickers and then 11 weeks following distributing the stickers. And they had a control group to see if there was, any difference based on these educational stickers. And so they found that there was a moderate positive impact, a reduction in overflowing trash cans and open trash cans across the neighborhoods. And there will be, my colleague is preparing a summary report that outlines kind of the methodology that they used, the findings and lessons learned from the pilot project that can inform future efforts in the future for other cities. One of the things I found really interesting from the report that she's drafted already is that there should have, one of the lessons learned is to do more focus groups and qualitative research prior to developing the program, because while the stickers did help to reduce the amount of trash coming from overflowing bins, it didn't do anything to address the really big problem in DC of illegal dumping and like bulk trash that piles up in alleyways. And so that was one kind of interesting lesson learned. All right, I'll move on. So I also wanted to talk briefly about this trash stormwater permit compendium, which is another resource that's already available on our website. Stormwater is the primary nexus for trash getting into waterways. So it's a big focus for our program. And just for a bit of background, under the Clean Water Act, municipal separate storm sewer system permits can be written to include provisions that limit the amount of trash released from stormwater into municipal rivers and streams. And so there's thousands of municipalities across the US that already have trash provisions in their MS4 permits. And what the Trashy Waters program did was compile a lot of the language from existing MS4 permits regarding trash into this compendium, so that in the future, stormwater permit writers or watershed planners can use this as a resource if they're developing new stormwater permits or stormwater management plans, and they can use these examples as inspiration. And it also includes like a background on trash in stormwater and how the Clean Water Act has tools to address that. So yeah, this is available on our website, and I encourage you to check it out. I'm going to skip this. And then briefly, just want to mention some of the work that Trashy Waters has supported for trash capture projects, which can be important downstream solutions for removing trash that's already in the environment. So this slide just shows kind of the diversity of different technologies that our partners have used to capture trash in waterways. And like I said, we hosted a webinar to kind of discuss best practices and lessons learned from projects like this. So if your organization or you are interested in trash capture and are looking for people to talk to about a particular technology or project, you can contact me or our program and we'll see if we can make connections. All right, and then there's still a lot we don't know about aquatic trash, and the knowledge gaps prevent us from effectively addressing the problem. And so that's why a lot of Trashy Waters work focuses on research and trying to understand how much trash is in our waterways, how it's getting there, and then what happens to it once it's there. And under the umbrella of trash, I'm including microplastics because we do a lot of work on that as well. So EPA recently published the Escape Trash Assessment Protocol. This is a standard method for collecting and assessing litter data. Because there's a lack of uniform data on the type and distribution of trash in the environment. And although there's a lot of students, businesses, NGOs that are tracking litter, inconsistent methods of data collection and analysis make it difficult to compare the data, and then that compromises the real collective impact of all these efforts. So that's kind of the impetus for ETAP, which is a methodology that can be used by non-scientists and scientists. It's really adaptable. It can be used across all land use types and ecosystems, like inland, coastal, yeah. And it, just to get an idea of kind of ways in which ETAP can be used, it can be used to establish a baseline for the materials, the trash that's found in the environment, and it can be used to identify the primary sources of pollution so that We can develop effective source reduction campaigns. It can be used to determine hotspots to focus cleanup efforts. And it can be used to assess the effectiveness of various interventions. Yeah, and so it's already being used in the field, and we look forward to kind of hearing stories and analyzing it and then improving it. And the reference manual and data card for ETAP are available on the Trash Free Waters website. And the last thing I'll briefly cover is just Trash Free Waters' work on microplastics and microfibers. The latest effort on microplastics research for our program was to update a report that was developed in 2017 called the Microplastics Expert Workshop Report. And that was just, we convened leading researchers on microplastics to kind of understand what are the top data or information gaps and research needs. And then recently, my colleagues have updated that report and assessed what research has been done since 2017, what are the remaining gaps, and how do we prioritize them. So that's coming soon. So look out on our website for that. And lastly is a report on microfiber pollution. This is called for under Section 132 of the Save Our Seas 2.0 Act. And Trash Free Waters is doing this on behalf of an interagency group called the Interagency Marine Debris Coordinating Committee. And so it'll include an assessment of the problem of microfibers, the fragments that escape from our clothes and other textiles and are found in environments all over the world. And it'll also include a 5-year plan for how federal agencies can work to reduce microfiber pollution. So that's due December 2022, but it's likely that we will have it finished well before then. Yeah, so that is a snapshot of some of the projects, tools, and resources that we've been working on. I'm happy to answer any questions if there's time. And if any questions come up after the meeting, feel free to email me and I'll put you in touch with the right person from the program. So thanks again to the meeting organizers for inviting me to speak about the program.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much, Gabby. I'm sure there's got to be some questions, all those wonderful resources you talked about. Anybody have a question for Gabby?
Yes. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Mike.
Gabby, this is Mike Moore. I work with the city of Virginia Beach. I recently watched a video where, and I'm going to tell you that it was a scientist of some sort, but they made a statement that there was roughly 30% to 40% of extreme like nano/microplastic fiber based on the tests that they had run in foods and waters. And they were basing it off of, which I had never heard before, but makes sense, based on the amount of rubber and plastic from tires. Have you done any research or know of any research, or have you heard that before, seen that before?
Yeah, I personally am not an expert on tire particles, but there has been a kind of a lot of attention on the tire particles issue in the past year or so. Out in Washington State, our Region 10 office did some research that found that a chemical used in the production of tires was having a negative impact on the coho salmon population out there. And so that has kind of sparked a lot of interest in understanding the risk associated with tire particles. That is something that I know the Trash Free Waters program lead is interested in in pursuing and trying to understand what our program might be able to do to address the problem, but is in the very early stages, just doing scoping research. I will say though that the microfibers report, as it's the assessment part has been drafted. There's a preliminary draft. It does not include the tire wear particles under the umbrella definition of microfiber, because we consider them a separate thing. They're rubber fragments. But it's a really serious problem, and we should hopefully have a lot more research coming out soon.
Thank you.
Hey, Gabriella, this is Rick. I was reading the email this morning, and in your email or the pamphlet, there was a article on the Mystic River, which I think is up in Connecticut, and that they had gotten together with the EPA and has come up with some sort of a plan to reduce the litter that is going into the Mystic River. Do you know if the EPA initiated that, or was that just a local group that came to the EPA?
That was so yeah, the Mystic River is the project is focused on the Mystic River watershed in Massachusetts, and that was an initiative spearheaded by our Region 1 office. They got support from the Trash Free Waters program and headquarters to do this trash free water strategy. So that was my colleague who was supporting that project, but I can say, just as an overview, they kind of convened a group similar to this group, like people working on the issue from different stakeholders from a lot of different fields to talk about the challenges and the challenges of trash in the Mystic River watershed and kind of best opportunities for dealing with it. And so, yeah, did you have any other questions about it?
Oh, no, I'm just interested in having Fairfax County reduce, the litter that goes into the waterways. And my thought is that a full capture storm drain guard would probably be the best way to go. Fairfax County just doesn't like that idea. So if we can convene a group of interested people to kind of work on that, and I just want to know, did the EPA spearhead that, or did it bubble up from somebody here or somebody in the community? So that's what district is Fairfax in? Do you know the EPA district?
Yeah, that's Region 3.
Region 3.
I would say if you send me an email, I could see if we have any kind of partners who've used the particular storm drain technology that you're thinking about, and maybe they can provide some advice or resources.
Yeah.
And yeah.
The only one I'm aware of is the city of LA. And when I mention that to Fairfax, they say, that's California, where they don't have the leaf drop in the fall and they don't have as much rain, and we don't want to do it. And LA just got, sued into doing it because of the MS4 program. So, and when I was looking at the articles on the all the litter collection, in the streams, all the different, traps and dams and everything. There is nothing about the storm drain guards. Once it's in the water, there appears to be a half dozen very expensive ways to, get the litter out. But there's just nothing about the storm drain guard that seems to be
Actually,
left out.
if I could impose upon Sarah Collar from Ocean Conservancy, if you're still on, Sarah, does the new International Trash Trap organization, is it looking at intercepting trash at storm drains?
Hi, Katie. Yeah, I can chime in here a little bit. And Gabby, I am going to reach out to you now about this exact topic, the trash capture devices. So Ocean Conservancy is working to convene just a group. It's the International Trash Trap Network. And in that group, we have connected with one company. The name is escaping me right now, but I can follow up with the group with an update. But they're based out of New Zealand, and they've created a device that attaches or is, I guess it attaches within storm drains. So it is a receptor device there. So our goal with the network is to just kind of bring together all different types of devices, big and large, down to the smaller, more manageable ones, and even ones that people are crafting and creating themselves. So I can follow up with this group on that with that company name.
Great, thank you. I know at one of our previous stormwater and litter workshops that were hosted by Clean Virginia Waterways and the Virginia Coastal Zone Management Program, as well as other partners, we did have 3 different vendors who did stormwater interception devices. Expensive to retrofit, but the goal is to stop the litter before it gets into the stream. So perhaps that could be another topic for one of our future meetings as well, to go more into on that. And I also see, Anne, you've had your hand up for a while.
Yeah, thank you, Gabby. It was a great presentation. Just a quick question. Are you, I guess, collaborating or working with Matt Robinson and Brooke Landry and the folks that are working on the microplastics within the Bay, that stack report for the Bay program, and just how do your efforts complement Matt's?
Yeah, the region 3, so each EPA region has its own trash-free waters coordinator that leads efforts in their region. So Kelly Summers is our trash-free waters coordinator in region 3, and she has a strong interest and a lot of knowledge about the issue of microplastics. So I think she co-chairs the Chesapeake Bay's Plastic Pollution Action Team with Matt Robinson, and has been very closely involved in the work that they were doing to develop a ecological risk assessment methodology and science strategy. And those are, actually, I'll put the website link in the chat too for anyone who hasn't seen those resources, because they're great. But so and Matt Robinson works closely with us on a lot of projects. We ask him to speak for a lot of different events, and he actually, to link it with the Mystic River watershed, he gave a talk to the stakeholders from the Mystic River to talk about some of the work that DC has done with trash capture and also trash reduction policies. So yeah, DC DOEE has been really helpful.
Great, thank you.
Karen, I see your hand is up.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Gabby, and thank you, everyone. I've learned a lot here. Gabby, I'm going to email you a lot of things you touched on. I don't want to take up everybody's time, but I do want to get with you and address some of the things you were talking about, especially ideas for education. I have a political background. When I was your age, I was in Washington working for a corporate lobbyist. who sent me into every facet of the government. He was a liberal Democrat that we were working for more of a conservative Republican cause. So I've been in every little nook and corner, though things have changed. And then I have a curriculum building and lesson plan background as a teacher in both our elementary, middle school, and high school, all three, and preschool. But the only thing I was going to say about those storm drains is my daughter-in-law went to UVA undergrad. He got an environmental degree, UVA undergrad. She has a textbook on the Chesapeake Bay. She made me read, and I read it. It was a textbook. And they said the biggest problem with the bay is the sediment. So it was interesting, the fella from Fairfax County. I'm in Fredericksburg here. My mother lives in Fairfax County, so I go up there quite a bit. The comment that they don't want to capture the litter because there's leaves and debris, that is actually a problem for the Chesapeake Bay. The sediment is a problem for the Chesapeake Bay. And if you think before industrialization and people crowded this region, they didn't have storm drains and that sort of thing. They relied on creeks, which caught the sticks and the leaves and things like that, and eventually made its way down to the bay. But it's just interesting and a little sad how ignorant we are, as a populace on this issue. But anyway, that's all I wanted to say regarding the runoff in Fairfax County. And then Gabby, I'd like to reach out to you via email and speak with you about some of the things.
That would be great. Thanks. Other questions for Gabby? Well, I really appreciate your time today, Gabby. I encourage everyone to go to the Trash Free Waters website. The webinars that they've got recorded are wonderful and targeted and top speakers. So it's a great, great resource if you want to dig deeper into something that you're new to. I also wanted to point out that there is a international blog. It used to be not blog, I'm sorry, it was a listserv until earlier this week. It was called Marine Debris. And today they changed their name to Ocean Plastics. And it's free. You can sign up. You do get a lot of emails on topics. And I'd say in the last 6 months, there's been a huge discussion about tires. Mike, you brought up the question about that. And there's been lots of research in Europe for many years about marine debris that comes off of the tires. So we'll send that out in our next newsletter, our monthly November newsletter to all of you. We'll include a link on how you can sign up to be part of that Ocean Plastic listserv. Just know some days you're going to get like 20 or 30 emails as people are discussing and sharing on a particular topic. So last call for any questions for Gabby or any other insights about the resources EPA's Trash Free Waters offers. Oh, and I just see that Sarah posted in the chat box, those of you who are interested in the stormwater capture devices, Litter trap, yeah, like litter trap. And I actually heard a presentation that Sarah used to set up with them, and a very interesting product that they've got. So thank you for sharing that, Sarah. Well, at this point, I guess I'll turn it back over to Christina to lead our round robin roundup. If anyone's got any
a round robin roundup.
That's right. Off to you.
So this is the time where we can take the last 20 minutes of our conversation and open up the floor. If anyone has any updates or upcoming events, or if you're new to us here, or I don't know, we give you a minute or less because there's 18 of us and 19 minutes left. So use your time wisely if anyone has anything they want to add. That's way too quiet. I know somebody's got something. Thanks, Tom.
I'll go. Yes, just random news for our organization, the Virginia Green Travel Alliance. we just announced last Thursday that Virginia State Parks is going to be one of our core marketing partners moving forward. So they'll be branded with everything we do. And so there's a lot of value for us, but we will be pushing them even more so in the direction of plastics reduction. So I think that's going to be a great partnership.
Awesome. Thanks, Tom. Anyone?
I'll go
Morgan,
ahead and announce I mentioned that we have stormwater and litter workshops. We've had 3 so far. Our 2021 will probably be on December 9th. We're waiting for one technical thing to be ironed out, but it will be virtual this year. And we hope if we can get enough sponsorship that it will be free to anybody. And the topics are mostly developed for the interest of stormwater managers and litter prevention professionals who work in communities along with public works. But we'll definitely let you know about that when it is open. But for now, hold December 9th, because I think it's 90% sure it's going to be on that date.
Anyone else? Updates, events, cleanups.
Keeping With It Beautiful is doing a candy wrapper collection. We're pretty much just working with schools. I've ordered the boxes from TerraCycle to collect the candy wrappers in, and we're providing the marketing materials for the schools. I'm kind of excited about this one. It's new. We've never done this before, and we had good response. I was able to get 6 locations, technically 7, but the 7th I never heard back from. So we're going with 6 to host candy wrapper collection boxes. The kind of, I guess, the lessons learned that I've already have about this is that the TerraCycle boxes are very expensive. For a medium-sized box, it was about $141. And for 6 locations, that's putting us inching towards $1,000 just for boxes. So I want to keep this campaign going. I want to do this next year, but I think next year it will turn into more of a competition that locations create their own boxes using all reused materials and have some prizes and, post pictures of the boxes online and really highlight the effort a little bit more. But that way, so that we can take some of that money and instead of spending it on boxes, we can maybe get some nice prizes for the organizations and individuals that participate. And of course, we're wrapping up our International Coastal Cleanup. We just did one on Saturday, and we had 84 volunteers show up and all sorts of litter collected. It was a pretty great cleanup, especially for all the data collection that was going on. So that's Norfolk.
I have a cleanup coming up too. I almost forgot about it. The Keep It Beachy Clean 7th annual Virginia Beach Oceanfront cleanup with the Virginia Beach Hotel Association, Virginia Beach Restaurant Association, and the Wednesdays Warriors all getting together on, we're starting at 24th Street, and we're going to clean the beach for an hour and then go celebrate at the local pizza place afterwards. So if anyone's down here at the beach and you want to join us for a cleanup, this is the 7th year that we've partnered with our local hotel association, restaurant association to do this cleanup. And so we're kind of excited about that. And we'll be collecting data, Katie, I promise.
Yes, well, thank you, Christina, and thank you, Mark Schwingle at the Aquarium. Yeah, I'll make a last pitch for the International Coastal Cleanup. This is our 27th year organizing it statewide. We depend on local partners like Morgan and the Aquarium and Christina to be the boots on the ground, but the data are so important. They go into the Ocean Conservancy's international database, which is open to anyone. And I can tell you right now, the communities in Virginia that are thinking of putting a bag fee in place are using that database extensively to see how big a problem are plastic bags in our community. And they also want to use the data to compare a year from now, once the bag fees have been in place. So if you do any cleanups anytime throughout the year, you can help collect data. And thank you. If you need more information, please reach out to me, Clean Virginia Waterways, and we'll set you up with trash bags, which are donated by Ocean Conservancy, and data cards and everything you need. So thank you.
Hey, this is Ann from the Chesapeake Bay Foundation. This is just a maybe an off the wall suggestion, but thank you, Sarah, for posting the litter traps, and for the person from Fairfax County who was saying that Fairfax County didn't want to invest in those. I was just wondering, you know, they have received, you know, each locality in Virginia received ARPA funds, right? And Fairfax County spent half of theirs, and they're holding back 50%. And almost every locality is doing that. And water infrastructure, it is one of the projects, you know, funding for that is one of the eligible projects. And I guess I'm just wondering whether or not it's worthwhile to just shoot a quick letter suggesting that perhaps they pilot, you know, putting some of these in and collecting the data for a few weeks and just, or a year, just to know, you know, how much that costs versus how much in Fredericksburg we have, you know, we've got the trons that drive around every Wednesday morning to clean our streets, right? And that cannot be cost effective to drive those, you know, those trucks around. So anyway, I'm just wondering whether or not that might be a good use of ARPA funds, and whether or not that's something that perhaps we should advocate for on the local level.
What kind of funds are they?
Yeah, so ARPA were the, that was the American Rescue Plan Act funds, and that was, you know, the first $1 trillion, if you will, that came back to the localities. And that's, yeah, I can drop a link in the chat to show you how much each locality received. And now, like Chesterfield County, for instance, is in the process of getting it, just like Henrico is in the process of pulling comments in about how those dollars should be spent. And it's just a thought that maybe that's one suggestion that all of us as advocates can do at the local level, to say, you know, maybe this is something worth considering, because water infrastructure is one of the projects that can be funded with these dollars.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll look at that. I did have one little comment for Morgan. She said she was going with the schools and the chip boxes or the chip bags. I was in REI the other day, and they had a chip bag and the little bars, the energy bars. Subaru has a national program with to recycle those. And so they had a box, you know, in the REI store that Subaru sponsored. And maybe you want to reach out to Subaru and see if they will sponsor your, you know, school collection.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. Thank you.
Hey, can you hear me? Hey, everybody. It's Mark Swingle with the Virginia Aquarium. Sorry I was late to the meeting today, but also had a comment for you, Morgan. Yeah, you want to pay attention to that. I'm a little familiar with the REI program. I think it is the one good thing about the TerraCycle program that you're engaged in is you can put any brand of snack or candy wrapper in that container for it to be recycled. Some of the other programs are a little more restrictive, that it only takes certain types of wrappers. In the case of the one in REI, I think it's only energy bars, so that's a little bit restrictive. But anyway, we have experience with this. We've been doing it for years, and so I just thought I'd throw a couple things out to you. I would, like I recommend to everybody, when you're doing this kind of thing, measure it so that over time you have that information that you can report. And we've been doing the snack and candy wrapper recycling for a long time because we wanted to eliminate waste from our food service areas. And one of the few things in there that was not able to be recycled or made from some sort of compostable material was candy wrappers or candy bar wrappers and snack bags. So we partnered with TerraCycle to do that. We use the large boxes because, again, they're not cheap, but what we have learned is over time is we get an average of about 16 to 17,000 candy bars and snack wrappers in a single box if you pack them well. And we've also measured it so that, and we weigh those boxes when we get ready to send them in. And we did a few experiments in the early days and came up with an average of 225 items per pound. So now we just weigh the boxes and then we can use that number, and that gives us a running total of how many snack bags and candy wrappers we're actually saving from going into the landfill. So just a little tip for you. And again, that's the data that we have is 225 items per pound. And we did that over several different iterations of filling up one of these boxes and sending them in. And so we don't count them all the time. Now we just weigh the boxes and then we use that number as the number for monitoring how much of an impact we're having. We also do glove recycling, so single use nitrile and other gloves like that, because we use a lot of gloves in the aquarium between our stranding response program and the aquarium, and we're recycling all our gloves through TerraCycle as well and monitoring how much of that we're doing. So I would recommend that if you're able to do it. It's also great to report back to the school how many bags that they've, how many items they actually recycled and kept out of the landfill.
Yeah, I really like that idea. I think with this being our first iteration of it, we're kind of going for our school's going to be interested and, just kind of working out the logistics. I think with my plan for next year being more having them create their own collection boxes, and then it would all be brought back to us and we'd send it to TerraCycle, would allow us to go more in depth with that data collection. And that was kind of the other part of my lessons learned, was not just, wow, we're spending a lot of money just on boxes, but we're giving them the prepaid shipping label. So once I deliver that box to them, unless I go check it out before they send it, I'll never see it again, which has the plus side of being really easy for them, but it takes away from my ability to collect data. So we got good response this year. So I appreciate this kind of feedback, because that is an important part of this is, getting that data to show why the program is working and the impact it's having. And definitely gonna work on that for next year's candy wrapper collection campaign.
Morgan, I was simply going to say we've used them at festivals and events and things as well. And so you seem to be on the right track with Mark's help there. But certainly that you don't need to use their box. Yeah, their box looks great. It's branded. But you can have collection areas for different types of things in different areas, and then then put it all together eventually. And you don't even have to send it in right away. Like if you've got a way to measure, you can still claim that for your event. And so, you could probably get away with purchasing one box, and then, working with the 6 or 7 different schools and then, maybe not even shipping it right away if you didn't, depending on the success of things. So.
Yeah, we can kind of see what we actually collect and then purchase based off of that, which, I think that'll be a much better use of funds. Thank you both.
So Mark, the big question is, how many candy bar wrappers have you all sent in for recycling?
I don't have that right in front of me, but I can guarantee you it's in excess of, a couple 100,000.
Yeah, because you guys have been doing that for
probably approaching 500,000 by now.
I'm gonna say, yeah.
How's your dental plan at the aquarium?
Right.
That and I think we're up to, because we stopped using straws, a few years ago as well. We've saved, I think we're up to 3.5 million straws, something like that. So, and it didn't take very long to get there, which is the sad part of it from a historical perspective.
All right, guys, we have 3 minutes. We can either talk about something or get going to the next thing. All right.
Well, be sure to share with us any updates you want to put in the next newsletter, which goes out, the first week of November. And as ever, if you have ideas for speakers, we've got lots of ideas, but speakers aren't always available when we need them. So we need your ideas. And please don't forget to use the forums on the website for continuing to exchange some of these resources that we've heard about today.
I don't understand why food companies, and coincidentally, that's who I used to lobby for, the food companies, cannot put candies in biodegradable, paper wrappers. It's beyond me. I guess because plastic is cheaper now than paper is. Maybe that's it.
That's exactly it, I'd say.
I mean, and I feel as though we need someone like Matthew McConaughey to make it cool, this cause, I mean, the way pop culture is, it's like we need global attention, on the problem, but I'm working on it.
All right, guys. Well, thank you all so much for coming out today, and we will see you next month, November 16th. Happy Halloween.
Bye.
Thank you.